I've got to be honest, one of my favorite things to do, like ever, is solve puzzles that are really never meant to be solved. Or more specifically, trying to beat video games after taking away literally the most important advantage that you really aren't supposed to play without. Just off the top of my head, I can remember beating the Carlson itch.io build without using WAS or D at all, and Bone Lab, but I had to kill everything in the game without physically harming them. But my challenge today is, can you beat Star Wars Jedi Survivor without using a lightsaber? But what makes this challenge so special, might you ask? Well, firstly, I needed a good excuse to make you watch this. But the real reason ties all the way back to why I started doing this stuff in the first place. When Jedi Fallen Order came out back in 2019, it almost immediately became one of my favorite games. Not only was the story and combat mechanics really fun, but it was also the first Souls-like game I ever played, which made it hit especially different. Anyways, a few months after Fallen Order came out, a YouTuber by the name of Sixtoon would release a 2-part video series in which he would complete Jedi Fallen Order without using a lightsaber. And to this day, those are some of my favorite videos on the entire platform. The ideas and problem-solving techniques used in the series were so interesting to me that I was inspired to try it for myself in various other games. Unfortunately, in 2021, Sixtoon would quit YouTube for a 2007 Ford Focus, meaning we would never be blessed with a new series for the sequel.
Fine. I'll do it myself.
So let's get into some of the rules. I will be using the same rule set that Sixtoon used in his series, so if you haven't seen it yet, I'm going to give you a quick rundown. A lightsaber is forbidden from being used to harm any enemy in the game, living or not, and can be only used as a tool to solve puzzles. And obviously, cutscenes and QuickTime events in which you are not in control do not count towards the challenge. Keep in mind, any use in combat, including blocking and parrying, is not allowed, whether it be against a blaster bolt, a saber, a giant electric toothbrush, or whatever that thing is. Now, because Cal keeps the skills he learned from the previous game, there is actually one force ability in which you automatically block blaster bolts while running, which is really annoying. One thing that really pisses me off though is, despite keeping nearly every other skill from the previous game, the one that he doesn't keep is the most crucial ability in defeating every boss in Fallen Order: the evasive kick, leaving me no way to deal with the bosses or my taxes.
Cooper, I have no idea how I'm gonna record this video.
Now obviously, this made the IRS very unhappy, so they sent a squad of troopers to arrest me and have me executed by my own blade. The taxman really thought he was doing me a disservice by taking away my lightsaber, but when he tried to kill me with it, I decided it would probably be safest on my belt, even if it wasn't gonna get any use.
Did you really think you could capture me? That's mine.
Stop the Jedi!
At first, I contemplated just writing this off as a QuickTime event, but then I remembered how the cutscenes for the boss fights only played the first time you encountered them. So I had the idea of letting the troopers kill me to see if it would set me back before it forced me to kill them. Bro! So now would probably be a good time to mention that I put the difficulty at story mode. I contemplated doing a harder one, but I ended up going with it because I really didn't want to spend 10 years doing every boss fight, and also it's the same difficulty that Sixtoon used, but I'm pretty sure they mad nerfed story mode because these troopers were doing no damage to me at all. And before you say that makes this challenge easy, as you are about to find out, that is definitely not the case. And also, spoiler alert, I changed my difficulty back up to Jedi Knight later in the game because I got bored of it being so easy.
I did it!
Finally!
I hope he's down for good.
Please? Yeah! Let's go! After a massive W to start off the run, the rest of this mission was just a matter of force pushing everything off the map. And yes, I technically could have just run past everything, but later in the run, the XP received from killing all these enemies would be crucial. I also picked up a new friend along the way named Bode. He was super useful. I could just let him kill everything for me if I wanted to. I don't know, I trust him with my life. At first I was a little scared on how I would beat this droid because at this point I didn't have any attacks that would hurt large enemies at all, but as it turns out I could genuinely just let Bo do all the work.
That guy really didn't like you.
Don't think he was a fan of you either.
After that annoying droid was out of my way, I was finally able to meet up with my group of tax evasion activists. And just as we were about to clear our names from the system, the IRS foiled us once again and killed nearly every one of our crew.
Cal, where you going? Get back here, Cal!
Now this is where things really started getting tricky. I breezed past a couple of regular troopers and threw a purge trooper off the map, but what awaited me after those easier encounters might end up being the trickiest problem I would have to solve in this entire run. The first boss fight. Now don't get me wrong, the Ninth Sister boss fight in the base game is not hard in any regards. The big problem here is that I didn't have a single attack that could deal damage to large enemies, so I was gonna have to get a bit more creative. Just like the first game, the answer to the first boss fight lies hidden within the skill tree. This time under a force ability known as Repulsive Burst. Repulsive Burst is only available under the double-bladed saber stance. If you press your force ability button mid-air, Cal will punch the ground, which will let off a shockwave that will damage nearby enemies. The only problem? I couldn't afford it. Fortunately, just before the meditation point before the Ninth Sister, there's a location flooded with enemies. This would allow me to collect skill points much quicker than normal by repeatedly going back and forth between the meditation point and the enemies and wiping them all out. That's not to say this process went quickly, especially because there were a number of times where I would accidentally block an enemy's bullet and would have to wait a painstaking amount of time for them to beat me to death so I could restart. But there was still another big problem. I didn't really have a way to break the Ninth Sister's guard. From what I could tell when fighting these enemies, if they still had a block meter while I was attacking them, they wouldn't take any damage. So I went back to the skill tree and discovered an ability known as Parry Push. But in order to get this ability, I would have to grind for much longer than before.
Come here, boy! Come here, boy!
You ever hear the saying, 2 birds with 1 stone? How about 8 stormtroopers with 1 probe? Not only was it in total more skill points to get to the point where I could get that ability, but I also didn't have any skill points left over like the ones I had when I started grinding for the first one. So in total, I went back and forth from the meditation point for an hour and a half to get these abilities, and it was finally time to face the Ninth Sister head on.
Among Us!
Turns out, all that grinding I did for Parry Push was completely useless, because I didn't use it a single time and was able to easily wipe the floor with the Ninth Sister. Until this happened.
Got any more?
That's right. After all that grinding I did to get Repulsing Burst on my double-bladed stance, Cal decides to switch to dual blade mid-fight and force me to use it. I couldn't switch back. I tried dying and respawning and coming back. I tried to see if I could do anything to do damage. It was useless, and it seemed like this challenge would be impossible. So I tried searching on the internet and actually found an individual who attempted to beat the game without a lightsaber, but failed at the Ninth Sister boss fight.
This is horrible. So I guess lightsaber is just required here.
But where to one, that might be discouraging. To me, no. That just made me want to try even harder. So my first plan of action was to just fool around and hope that the game was so broken that I would just end up teleporting somewhere. But while I was running in circles around this trooper, I thought, you know what? What's stopping me from just taking this guy to the boss fight with me? So I pulled him onto the elevator with me and we rode right down to the Nine Sisters location. And to my complete and utter dismay, this happened.
They're after you.
What? He actually did damage to the Ninth Sister. I didn't even think I'd be able to put him in the arena with her, let alone this. Now, yes, she did mop the floor with him, but this is still a start, a sign of hope, because I remembered a video Sixtoon did a while back in which he put all the enemies in Jedi Fallen Order against each other. And the one enemy that was able to beat every single boss in the game was the probe droid. Unfortunately, in the room right before the Ninth Sister happens to be a probe droid.
You're kidding, bro.
He's moving.
Gosh, this game really wanted me to fail this challenge. The one enemy that could possibly beat the Ninth Sister crashes my game when I try to bring it with me. So was this it? Was this finally when I would give up? No. So I returned to Sixtoon to see if I could find an answer hidden anywhere in one of his videos. But I stumbled across something that gave me an idea.
Was more security droids. And Jeff the Heavy Gunner.
Wait, I know a Jeff the Heavy Gunner. He's been shooting at me for the past 2 hours. But wouldn't the Ninth Sister just be able to kill him immediately? Well, this is my last shot. I've got to try it.
Okay, we can do this. How gravity works.
Please, Jeff.
Come on, Jeff, please. Masana! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Brother, please! Oh my goodness! You have no idea!
It's time to set you free.
Brother, Jeff! Dude, Jeff, I could not thank you enough, bro. You are like a brother to me. You are like... You... Alright, goodbye, Jeff. I love you, bro. Yeah. No.
Guilt-ridden, with the terrible things I had to do to Jeff, my brother, I returned to my crew. But as it turns out, it took me so long to beat the Ninth Sister that the Empire was hot on our heels as we were leaving, and my ship was severely damaged and another member of the crew was lost. In search of hope, I went looking for my friend Grease Dritus on the planet of Kobo. I knew he was the only man who could repair my ship, but on my way, the ship's condition only continued to get worse, and we comically crash-landed right on the edge of a cliff. But before I could continue, I knew there was one thing left to do that could take this challenge to the next level. Subscribe for part 2.